Hello, beautiful people. If you are new here, my name is Jo. If you are not new here, welcome back to my channel. It is so great to have you guys all here today with me. So today we are going to be talking about some of the books that made me cry. I saw Bree from In Love and Words do this video, and I wanted to do it too because I am an absolute and utter blubberer. And it doesn't take a lot in a book to make me cry. I could happy cry, I could sad cry, I could literally broken cry all night long about a book. That is one thing about me. If you have any sort of emotion in your book whatsoever, I will cry about it. Thank you. So I have compiled a list of books that I have read this year that made me cry. I have them ranked on a cry scale, on a sadness scale. And I also have what kind of cry it was, whether it was a happy cry, a sad cry, a broken beyond belief cry, or an angry cry. We have one sad face. That means that I just got a little bit misty-eyed. There are no ones on this list. Like I said, I'm a crier, I'm an emotional human. 2 crying faces is that I shed a tear. There was a tear rolling down my cheek. That happened. 3 crying faces means that snot has entered the building, the nose is running, the tears are flowing. 4 crying faces means that I blubbered like a big fat baby and we're having a difficult time. 5 out of 5 crying faces means that I was physically ill, which has happened and I will not recover. So the first book on this list is a recent read that I have not talked about on my channel yet, and that is Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. This is a super hyped book on Book Talk, and it was really hyped a couple years ago on BookTube. I really enjoyed it. Okay, so this story is told in 2 alternating time periods. We have then and we have now. In the then category, our main woman, Macy, is kind of starting to recover from her mother's death. She is 13 at the beginning of this story. When Macy's mother realized that she would not recover, she wrote a list of kind of parenting tips for Macy's father, and one of the tips was something along the lines of, when she comes home from school one day and she is so tired and exhausted, take her away for the weekend. So Macy's father decides to buy this kind of vacation home next to a lake in order to provide some sort of solace from their everyday lives. And when they go to this house, Macy meets a young Elliot. Elliot is an intellectual teenage boy who prefers to hide in a closet reading his books than deal with the chaos of his family. His family is very Weasley-like. It's chaotic, but it's like a burrow of love. In the second time period, Macy is now a resident at a hospital. She is engaged to a single dad whose name is Sean, and she has not talked to Elliot in 11 years. When one day she sees him at a coffee shop, tries to run away, but obviously Elliot stops her and is like, "Hi, BFF. What's going down in Funky Town?" So this is a second chance romance, friends to lovers romance. Lord have mercy. Macy and Elliot, I love them so much. This cry was a 2 out of 5. Tears were shed, but it was a happy cry. So we have some good memories. It was a happy cry. So the next book that made me cry was Making Faces by Amy Harmon. This is another recent read. Apparently I've just been emotional lately. So in this story, we are following Fern, and when we are introduced to Fern, she is in high school in September of 2001. Fern is hopelessly in love with this boy named Ambrose, who is the star of the wrestling team. He is the bomb.com. He is the golden boy of the town. One day when they are in class, 9/11 happens, which leads to Ambrose deciding to join the army and go overseas to fight in a war. He gets his 4 friends to come with him, and unfortunately his 4 friends die, and Ambrose is left with physical and emotional scars, PTSD, things like that. It is their romance. This book was so emotional on so many levels. There were a couple times that I did get a little bit misty-eyed, but the main one that I want to talk about, it was a 3 out of 5. The snot was flowing. I was angry. I was angry crying. I was angry. I was sad. It was awful. It was a 3 out of 5. It happened. I don't even want to think about it. I don't want to think about it, but it's a fantastic book. The next one is Hate Notes by Vi Keeland and Penelope Ward. So in this story, we are following Charlotte, who has just figured out that her fiance has been cheating on her. She obviously cancels the wedding, and when we meet her, she is in a consignment shop trying to sell her wedding dress when she sees another wedding dress that has a little note in it, a little blue note, a little blue piece of stationery in it that has one of the most beautiful love notes that she has ever read. She decides to trade her wedding dress for this wedding dress, and that night she gets rip-roaring drunk and starts to Google this guy that wrote this note, because on the note it says, "From the desk of Reed Eastwood." So she finds out that he is a realtor for this bigwig company, and they're actually having a showing the next day on this hugely expensive condo, apartment, something like that. And unbeknownst to her, she actually fills out an application with all sorts of fake information in it so that she can go to this viewing. Charlotte herself is very quirky. Reed is very grumpy. This is a grumpy sunshine trope. Reed has his own reasons for being a grump and for being the way that he is. I'm not going to spoil anything about it, but that epilogue had me rolling. It had me rolling, and it was a happy cry. It was a happy cry, but it was a 3 out of 5. It was a happy cry, but it was also kind of a bittersweet type of cry. It was a 3 out of 5. The snot was going. The snot was rolling. I remember sending a picture of myself. If I have it, I'll insert it here. That's me after finishing Hate Notes by Vi Keeland and Penelope Ward. Thank you very much. I wish I could take pictures of myself for every single one of these because it would be hilarious. The next romance book that made me cry was Pestilence by Laura Thalassa. This is book number 1 in the Four Horsemen series quartet, whatever you want to call it. If you've been on my channel for any amount of time, you know that I really like this series. It's thebomb.com. There is one specific scene in this book that I remember absolutely crying. I cried. It was horrible. It was emotional. It was challenging. And all I can say is freaking old people. They make you cry, even though you don't want to. This was a 2 out of 5 on the cry scale. I shed multiple tears. It probably should be a 3. There was some snot involved, but it was a very sad cry. I just remember I felt my heart sink into my butt. And I felt it breaking into a million tiny little pieces and scattering to the wind. So there you go. And the last book that I want to talk about that made me cry is probably what should be like the ultimate. This is the ultimate. This is as bad as you can get. It's Manacled. I talk about Manacled all the time. If I'm gonna make a YouTube video about books that made me cry, this bitch has to be on there because Manacled by Sin Lin Yu is a 5 out of 5 crying faces. Okay, 5 out of 5. I was broken. I was physically ill. I woke up with a migraine the next day. My eyelids were swollen to the size of golf balls. Ma'am, I mean, even days later, if I even thought about it, I would want to cry again. I don't even want to talk about it right now because it makes me emotional. But Sin Lin Yu, Manacled, bitch. How much did I cry on a scale from 1 to Manacled? Manacled? Manacled. It is a behemoth, but it is one of the most beautiful and gut-wrenching stories I have ever read in my entire life. This is my baby. This is my baby right here. Manacled. It broke me. It put me back together. Kind of. It's bittersweet, but Lord have mercy. Yeah. Manacled. It made me physically ill. So those are some of the books that I have read this year that made me cry and the rankings of them because I think I'm cool. Definitely go and check out Bree's video. I will have her video linked down below if you want more books that you might read that might make you cry and may not. I don't know. If you have not already, please like and subscribe so that you do not miss any more future bookish content from me. I hope that you do. But that is all I have for you guys today, and I will see you guys next time.